guys, it's Di from Being Mommy with Style, and I feel like I have these hands now, so I need to use them in every single Disney video that I do. Anyhow, today we're going to be talking about Disney resorts, and I wanted to do a resort recap of the different resorts that we stayed at Walt Disney World on this past trip in February, and then I also wanted to talk a little bit about the resorts we'd stayed at in the past, and then maybe do a little comparing, telling you what the favorite parts of the different resorts were, what I thought worked the best for our family, and what we're kind of looking at for future trips as far as where we'd like to stay and where we would like to try. And also a goal of mine, since we're fairly new to Disney World resorts, a goal of mine in the future, long-term future, is to eventually stay hopefully all or as many as I can of the Disney resorts on property of Walt Disney World. So that is like an eventual goal of mine. It's not going to happen in the next year, it's not going to happen in the next 2 years, but eventually I would love to try as many of the Disney World resorts as I can. So that is kind of like a goal. But for now, we've only stayed at about 5 resorts. On this past trip, we were at 3 of those. We were at All-Star Movies on the first night, and we were at Port Orleans for the main portion of the trip at Walt Disney World for the conference, Port Orleans Riverside, and then the very last day after we came back from the cruise, we were at Coronado Springs. And the reason why we split those up was because the first night we chose the resort and we stayed at All-Star Movies. That was our choice. I wanted the kids to see it, and that turned out to be a great idea because they loved it. And then the Port Orleans Riverside was where the conference was. That's where the whole conference group stayed, and so that wasn't one that I chose, but I was really glad that we got to try it out. And then we went on the cruise, and when we came back, I chose a different resort because we were going to be staying at a new room or a new resort that night anyways, because we were coming back from the cruise. So I figured why not try something different that we hadn't tried before, just to be able to compare, and I thought that that worked out well as well. So first of all, split stay. This was also the first time we'd done a split stay like that, moving from resort to resort, and I thought that it actually went really well. In fact, we would definitely consider to do it in the future. I'd always seen, you know, like in Disney groups, like people posting like they were doing split stays, and I'd always thought, ugh, it seems like a lot of work and hassle, like, I guess. But now that I've tried it, it really wasn't that bad. It was pretty easy. You just brought your suitcases and all of your luggage down to Bell Services. They got it over to the new resort for you, and they could either deliver it right to your room while you're in the park at the new resort. And it was really quick and easy, honestly. And it wasn't a huge hassle. I don't know if I want to do it every night, or I think that 3 resorts over like a one-time span would probably be more than we would want to do. But trying out 2 resorts on the same trip, I can definitely see the merit in it. Either one, because you're saving money for part of the trip, or if you're doing a value and then moving into a deluxe or something like that for the last part of the trip, or if you're just wanting to try multiple resorts. I mean, for us, we're kind of new to the trying out the Disney resort thing, and we're wanting to try new things. So for us, it'd be a great way for us to try multiple resorts in the future too. So I do think that we'll try split stays in the future. We enjoyed that part and being able to see multiple resorts. So the first night we were at All-Star Movies, and this is one again that I chose. I chose this one because I thought the girls would really love it. It's a value, so it has a little bit smaller beds. The rooms are a little bit smaller. But to us, honestly, we're a family of 4. The room fits us fine. We don't need the extra bed space. And also, when we're at Disney World, we're, you know, theme park people. We're not really resort oriented. I mean, we'll do a little bit at the resort, eat and sleep, of course. But we are really there for the theme park experience. So for us, the room is kind of just a place to go back and sleep. So our choices may not work for, you know, everyone. What works for us may not work for you, but then also what works for us on one trip may not work for us on a different trip. And I'll kind of talk about that a little bit when I get into where we'd like to stay in the future, because I have in my mind different places I would like to stay in different scenarios. So it really depends on the type of trip that you're trying to plan, whether it's more theme park oriented, more resort oriented, you have more downtime to hang out at the pool or be in the surroundings, or if there's special events going on, like you're going to be at a lot of party nights in Magic Kingdom, that would also change the choice for us personally where we would want to stay. So anyhow, staying at the value, we really liked All-Star Movies. We really, really liked All-Star Movies. So I'll talk about the other resorts and kind of get into our favorites, but spoiler alert, it was probably our favorite resort that we stayed on. at this trip. It was our favorite. We enjoyed the room. The room met all of our needs. It had what we needed: beds, a bathroom, and shower, and you know, everything to get ready. And the kids loved the grounds. So All Star Movies has these really huge characters. We're obviously very character-oriented families, so for us, being immersed in that Disney experience where you have a lot of characters, you know, in your face and in the experience is a bonus for us. Whereas some people may want to go down there and just have a little bit of Disney in your experience. And then for that, I would say there's different resorts to kind of meet that need. Definitely some of the moderates. I feel like some of the moderates you could go to and really just feel like you're at a resort, like not even necessarily 100% Disney. It's not like characters are in your face of the moderates a lot. So for All-Star Movies, we were in the Dalmatians area. We really liked that. The kids loved going over to see the Toy Story area. So it was a really fun resort and it met all of our needs. So we were there one night. Then we moved over to Port Orleans Riverside, and that is a moderate, so it had a little bit larger beds, and also had one of those pull-down beds, a little, we call it a kid-size bed. So it's like a little fifth bed in the room. My kids really, really loved those. We also had the little pull-down bed when we stayed at Caribbean Beach when we were there in November, and the kids really, really loved that feature. See, that's actually one of the huge bonuses of the moderates for us, is that little kind of Murphy bed that pulls down and is like perfectly kid size. My kids really, really love that. And I'd say that's probably a bigger like plus for us than even the larger beds that the adults are sleeping in, because a full-size bed works fine for us, to be honest. So Port Orleans Riverside, the grounds were beautiful. They were gorgeous. It had a very southern bayou feel. That's what they're going for. And our room in particular, we were in the Alligator Bayou. It had kind of like a fishing cabin feel, which I don't necessarily think, and I said this in my review, was the best fit for us. But there were people that read my review on my blog, which I'll try to remember to link down below. You guys know how I am with linking stuff. But there were people that read my review on my blog, and then they said, this is great. That's exactly what we want. And they said that they were going to book that. So it really depends on your individual family and your taste and your preferences for your trip. For us, I think if we stayed at Port Orleans Riverside again, we would maybe look at the Royal rooms, which then you lose the little Murphy bed, but you know, then you have the trade-off of it's princess themed, which works well with us. So the grounds were beautiful. We love Port Orleans Riverside. I think the main bonus for Port Orleans Riverside was the easy access and transportation to Disney Springs. It was amazing. It was wonderful. You just got on a boat and you had a nice leisurely boat ride over to Disney Springs. You could shop and then bring all of your things back on the boat. We really liked that aspect. It was really neat. So Port Orleans Riverside, we really liked, and we would consider it in the future. The food was good. I never got to try the food court because I was going to so many events that food was served, but my husband and the kids tried out the food court and they liked the food. And other than that, we never got to try the pool. It looked fun, but I do think that just looking at it, probably pools like a Caribbean beach just seem a little bit more our style. So that's kind of my thoughts on the pool, even though we didn't get a chance to use it at Riverside. And then the last resort we were on after we got back from the cruise was at Coronado Springs. And Coronado Springs is a quote-unquote convention resort. And it's kind of weird because I guess maybe it's because I already had that in my head, but I kind of felt like it felt a little convention-y, but it might just be because I had that in my head. It is big and sprawling and reminded me a lot of Caribbean Beach. The feel at Coronado Springs and Caribbean Beach felt very, very similar. Just even my husband said this, with having the large body of water in the middle and all the buildings around it. And we were at Casitas, I believe, and then this walking around the water to get to the main area. It just felt very reminiscent of being at Caribbean Beach. So the thing is, though, is that we like those little pull-down beds, and since that is one of the main draws for us, that Caribbean Beach actually works a little bit better for us, and we like the rooms at Caribbean Beach a little bit more. So I say as far as like getting into the ranking, we liked Caribbean Beach a little bit more than Coronado Springs. But that being said, the rooms were still beautiful and the grounds were beautiful. I liked the food at the food court, and you know, it was a nice resort, but I think there are other resorts that meet our needs better. So now that I talked about all three of them, All-Star Movies, Port Orleans Riverside, and Coronado Springs, how would I rank them, or what do I think my favorite was out of the three of those? I think that they all have their plus and minuses, or you know, their better parts, but I think our favorite and the kids' favorite, definitely out of the three of those, was All-Star Movies. Who knew? So the bus situation with the sharing the buses, we were there in February, so it wasn't a concern really at all. We didn't have any problem getting buses. There really didn't seem to be any longer waits at any of the resorts. It seemed to be about the same compared from All-Star Movies, which is a value and shares the buses with the other All-Star resorts, and the moderates that we were at. And those moderates that are large like that and have the multiple stops, you know, it takes a while for them to get to the multiple stops anyways. So it's kind of almost the same idea in a sense, where the sharing at All-Stars is really almost the equivalent in my mind to having the multiple stops at the large moderate resorts. So the bus issue wasn't a concern though on this trip because it was February, it was a little bit of an off season. Now when it's the middle of Christmas time, I mean, I could see where you might be waiting for a bus for a little while. But All-Star Movies we really, really liked. We loved the theming of it. You know, it seemed like it had a really fun pool. We didn't get a chance to go over and swim there either. We chose to go to Blizzard Beach, which I don't regret. We really, really loved our Blizzard Beach day. But we ate at the food court a number of times there. We loved the food. And just really the theming is what put it over the top for us. I mean, we are character people. If you've seen our Disney videos, you know this. So anything that has that character experience immersed in it really kind of gets it bonus points in our mind. So the other two that I have stayed at were the Yacht Club, and the kids and my husband weren't along for that one, but it has put in my mind in the future that I think the Beach Club would possibly be a great fit for us on a future trip. And the pool there is amazing. It's one of the best pools on property. I love that it's easy access to Epcot. So my idea with Beach Club in the future is possibly on a flower and garden stay where it'd be handy to be close to Epcot. Or this Festival of the Arts. We really liked the Festival of the Arts. It was going on when we were there in February. I hope they continue to do it in the future because it was really neat. If we're there at a time where we're going to be wanting to go to Epcot a lot, then it would make sense Beach Club to be high on the list to consider. So that is kind of my idea with the Beach Club, Yacht Club area. I don't know that the Yacht Club would be the best fit for us at this point. With the kids still being young and really into characters, I feel like we need more character immersive experiences right now while they're young. Then as they get older and we kind of phase out of that, then we'll probably start staying at more of the, I don't want to say like non-character resorts, I don't really know what to call it, but more of the resorts that have their own feel and theming that isn't around characters. So out of the 5 that I have been at, Yacht Club, Caribbean Beach, All-Star Movies, Port Orleans, Riverside, and Coronado Springs, I would say that 2 of those felt very, very similar, Caribbean Beach and Coronado Springs. They felt like almost the same resort in a sense, but they are different. But out of those 2, Caribbean Beach definitely wins out of those 2. If we ever stay at Caribbean Beach, we will be in a preferred room 100%. Oh, that's the other thing. We were in a preferred room at All-Star Movies. So that may have played in a difference. I would definitely consider paying for that preferred room. If it's closer to the pool, if it's closer to the food, for us, it's a really nominal price difference. It would be worth it to be closer to everything, especially if you have the rapid refill cups and it's just easier logistics-wise. It's worth like a couple $100 to me to be closer to everything. May not for everyone, but it is for us. So right now, I would say All-Star Movies is really up there as far as what our favorite resort is. And then I would say probably Port Orleans, but that was, you know, we were using it kind of in a different manner. And then Caribbean Beach, Coronado Springs, and then the Yacht Club, that's kind of a wash because I didn't have the whole family with me. So what's up next? So I'm not really planning on duplicating any resorts in the near future. So we're not planning on like staying time after time at the same resort. So what I want to do is try out different resorts that we haven't stayed at. And when we were driving in to Coronado Springs on the last day, you can see it in the video, we drove past Art of Animation. And this one was kind of moderately on my radar before this. When we drove past Art of Animation, the kids, both of them, were literally sitting up out of their seats, trying to hang over the window to get a better view of it. That is the only resort I have ever seen them in. It's a really cool resort. Even I was like, oh, that's cool, look at that. it was the only resort I've ever seen them do that with. And so after that experience, and then kind of taking a better look at the rooms and, you know, the grounds and everything and their reaction to All-Star Movies, Art of Animation just jumped way up to the top of my list of places I would like to stay next. So I had booked a bounce back for the end of the year, and that bounce back was at Animal Kingdom Lodge. We're hopefully still going to be staying. We're hopefully still going to be doing it. Really just depends on what else comes up in the year, because the more trips I accept, like going on this conference trip, you know, that uses up my husband's vacation time. So if I get down to when this trip's supposed to be and I've used all of his vacation time, then I'll either have to keep pushing it back more or do something different. But for now, we do have an Animal Kingdom Lodge stay planned at the end of the year, which I talked about previously. I am now thinking about split staying that trip and doing part of it at Art of Animation and part of it Animal Kingdom. I think that would be an amazing trip. First of all, I think if we book a Little Mermaid room at Art of Animation, that the girls would flip. Ariel is like one of both of their favorites, one of their favorite Disney princesses, and I think that they would really love that, like, such immersive theming. I mean, even in the bathroom, it's like Little Mermaid themed. So I think that that would be really, really cool. And then Animal Kingdom being one of our favorite theme parks, there's all kinds of new things to do. All the new stuff will be open, like Pandora on our next trip that I have planned. So that's why I was kind of thinking Animal Kingdom for that trip. So what I'm thinking is Art of Animation, Animal Kingdom for a couple days, and that will be like a big, like, Animal Kingdom area themed trip. So that's kind of my plan for going forwards. And then as far as other places I would like to stay in the near future, you know, we really don't mind the values. I get that, you know, a lot of people say, like, once you go deluxe, you can never go back. I could see, like, the convenience of staying on the monorail loop, especially on, like, party nights or days when you're going to be in Magic Kingdom really late. That's high on my list to consider. So, like, on my list, I have Contemporary. If we're ever there for party nights again, for like the Halloween party, the Christmas party, I'm highly going to consider staying on the monorail loop, and probably the Contemporary is the top of my list right now of where I would like to stay. And I realize that it's probably not going to make, you know, our choices may not be this, they're definitely probably not going to be the same as yours. I like the Contemporary because it's always been one of those resorts, you always drove through it in the monorail, you know, on the way into Magic Kingdom. So it's something that, I don't know, it's just like really iconic to me. And also we really love Chef Mickey's, so I think it would be a great fit for us to try out on the monorail loop. Also the Polynesian, I mean, the pool there is gorgeous and you have an amazing view of the castle. So in order around the monorail, it'd probably be the Contemporary, Polynesian, and then eventually the Grand Floridian. Hopefully they don't change it too much if they redesign it. But that's kind of my idea if we have a party night trip in the future. The only other place that's kind of on my, like, next up list of what places I would like to stay is, like I said earlier, Beach Club. I think that pool would be really neat. For a trip where you're going to be at Epcot a lot, I think it would be really neat to kind of, you know, have that closeness where you can just walk over there. That was really convenient, or hop on the boat and go over to Hollywood Studios. That area is nice because you can get to so many places really easily. So I would like to experience that with my family, the girls and my husband. And then other than that, you know, there's other values we haven't stayed at. So I wouldn't mind trying some of the other values. However, I feel like All-Star Movies is probably the best fit out of all the All-Star resorts. So there's All-Star Music, which is probably the next one I would try. And then there's All-Star Sports, which we're not a huge, like, sports family. So, you know, I don't see, like, All-Star Sports being, like, our first choice. And then there's also Pop Century, which Pop Century is not really high on my list of places to go. I don't know. Our family's just not really into the whole, like, decade thing. So I feel like Pop Century, I don't know, this is not a good fit with our family. I don't have any desire to go, like, stay in a 60s room or anything. I don't know. It's just not us. And also I heard, you know, they're doing a redesign for some of the rooms where they're having one regular queen bed and then they're having a Murphy bed that's full-size pull down. I personally wouldn't want that in my room. I'm of the mindset either put a bed in there or don't. The little kid-size Murphy beds are different because it's like an extra bed. But as far as, like, if it's a full-size bed, I don't want to deal with having to pull all that down at 11 o'clock at night or anything like that. So Pop Century, maybe one of the last places we ever stay at, to be honest with you. It's not really high on my list. If I'm just trying to check a box to say that I've been to all the resorts, probably the last resorts I will try will be All-Star Sports and All-Star Sports and Pop Century. Unless something changes. Obviously, if one of the kids becomes immensely into baseball or something like that, then that'll change. But right now, there's no indication of that. So, All-Star Movies we would definitely stay at, but I want to try new resorts. So I think probably the next resorts we'll be at will be Art of Animation and Animal Kingdom Lodge. I would stay at Caribbean Beach again, but it has to be a preferred room. It just has to be. And then Port Orleans Riverside and Port Orleans French Quarter. It's a like sister resort to Riverside. I would love to try French Quarter. I think that Riverside is probably the best fit out of the two of those, but at some point I would like to stay at French Quarter just to try it out. I would probably do definitely a split stay with that one though, because I don't know if I'd want to stay my whole trip there, if that makes sense. So hopefully you guys enjoyed hearing about our resort picks after our most recent trip to Walt Disney World, and we're looking forward to hopefully being there towards the end of the year so we can try out some of the new things like the character breakfast at the boardwalk. Oh my goodness, are we excited about this. I already have reservations on our hopefully planned trip. I'm hoping we can go on this trip and nothing comes up with my husband's job or anything, but it has Ariel and Rapunzel. It's at Altatoria, I believe. I don't know how to say it quite yet, but it's at the boardwalk and it sounds amazing. It's simply the fact that it's Ariel and Rapunzel and their princes, so it's going to be really cool and different from any of the character meals that we've done before. And then also, like I said previous in this video, Art of Animation, Animal Kingdom, I feel like are going to be two really good fit resorts for us. So I'm interested to try both of those out and kind of go from there. So that is it for today. Let me know if you have any questions down below. And thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.